Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm Marisa.
And I'm Ariana.
And we're the Krolmeister sisters. As a reminder, this podcast is rated T for teen for strong language and mature themes.
If you like your podcast low on mature themes and just a little sprinkling of the language, then head on over to her very own podcast, Unlocked.
Awesome. Today we also have Victoria with us today, Budkey on Twitch. So Ariana, what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about, three threes.
Three threes.
Three threes.
Yeah, three threes. That makes complete sense, and we shouldn't have to continue explaining that.
But I guess we will.
I guess we have to. So we each, all three of us, came up with a category of the Nancy Drew games, and we picked 3 games that fit into that category, and all on our own, because basically, I came at this thinking, Ariana and I have the same opinion on most of the games because we played them together. So it's easy for us to make lists together because we had the same experience. Whereas if we have someone else come in, they don't have the same experience as us. So how are we going to agree on a list? So we each make our own lists. That's my solution. So all 3 of us are going to have our own category. Who wants to go first?
I was going to say, Victoria, would you like to go first as our guest, or would you like to go second and let Risa test out the waters on this whole thing?
That sounds like a really good plan.
Okay, I'll go first. So, my category is the hardest games. So, I've been thinking about this recently because, as some of you guys know, Ariana and I are going to be replaying the games on Senior.
Oh boy.
In the future. So, I've been thinking about what the hardest games are to play because I will be playing it on Senior, obviously. So I was like, the first game I play on Senior should be the hardest game that I can think of. So I've been thinking about it, and I asked some people. There's a Nancy Drew Clue Crew Discord as well. If anyone wants that link, hit me up. But I asked some of them as well, and they gave me some good ideas. So here, in my opinion, are the hardest 3 games, going 3, 2, 1. And maybe it's just because I'm a little dumb. Maybe.
I don't know.
It's possible, but these to me are the hardest games. So my number 3 hardest game is Curse of Blackmore Manor. Curse of Blackmore Manor was the first game we tried to play on Senior and had to quit and start back as Junior.
It was the typing test.
It was the typing test. Curse of Blackmore Manor is really, it's in depth. There are a lot of different puzzles with a lot of different steps that have to go in specific orders. And then the puzzles themselves are all incredibly in depth as well. So some of them, it's like you go and specifically I'm thinking of the Metal Key one, where there's so many different parts of it that you have to figure out.
And the help that you have in the game for that is like super vague.
Yes. And you're like, is it the negative image? Is it which way is it? And all of the puzzles in that game are like that. And I love it. I love that game. That game is in my top 10. But it is hard.
Yeah, it's all very convoluted and weird. Again, love it. Not complaining. Yeah. It's very, I was saying when we were making our lists earlier, I have no idea how we completed Curse of Blackmore Manor the first time we played it. Because at least now, if we have trouble, we're like, okay, screw it, we're going to go through a walkthrough. But like,
we didn't know about Game Boomers then. We played Curse of Blackmore Manor when it was new. So it was actually the first game we picked up when it first came out. So we were like, there was nothing. But yeah, that's my number 3 hardest game. Number 2 is The Silent Spy. I feel like a lot of people don't think this one's a very hard game, but I do.
I do. I have to agree with you.
All of the puzzles, I don't ever know what I'm supposed to be doing when. And I honestly, like, the puzzles that are there are ones that my brain doesn't click with. Like, the cipher puzzle and all of the, like, even the cookies. I'm not good at the cookies. I can't tell the difference between the cookies. Like, every single puzzle in that game is way harder than it should be for me as a grown adult.
I feel like that might be just like a weird game of semi-dumb luck, because I have a great time with that game, so I feel like it's just because you have to be like a random clicker.
Sometimes. You know, that's true. Sometimes in Nancy Drew, you just have to click.
Yeah.
And I get that. But honestly, that's my number 2 hardest game, because I am not looking forward to playing that one on Senior. Because I don't know what happens. I just don't know.
Yeah, my opinion on Spy is, I feel like the story makes it feel like the stakes are really, really high. But then you're in the middle of the game going, what I don't, but
if I touch this bagpipe, what will happen?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, and I think that's part of what makes it really hard. I like it, don't get me wrong. I enjoy the hard stuff, but it still also is like that frustrating amount of hard if I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah.
So, that's my second one. My number 1 hardest game that I think, hardest Nancy Drew game there is Shadow at Water's Edge. That game is so difficult, but it's like really difficult in a fun way, I think. Like even more so than the others, because I feel so accomplished when I finish that nonogram in the end. Like that's just like, if I can do that, I'm like on a high the rest of the week. That, honestly, all of those puzzles are really hard, and I guess also I just have issues with logic puzzles, and it's easier when Ariana and I were playing together because I just hand it over to her. I'd be like, oh, she wants us to make more bento, here you go, and just hand the laptop over. I can't do that on my own, so that makes it a lot harder.
Aren't you glad you went, hey, let's play these on Senior Detective, because all of these ones you listed are the ones that I played on Junior Detective.
I know.
So you just screwed yourself, man.
Honorable mention was Haunting of Castle Malloy, another one that you played that I have to play on Senior. So, yes, pretty much. I gave you all the hard games. I gave you all the hard games first.
Hey, don't forget to mess up the first time you do the seating chart in Haunting of Castle Malloy. Otherwise, he won't say that it's right.
It's true. Well, maybe
I'm
that was
still
just
bitter
the
about
disc.
that.
I mean, you have the disc. Maybe that was the issue.
Maybe that was the problem. The disc, yeah.
Oh, I would never get it right on the first try anyway, so. So those are my top 3 hardest games. So that was Curse of Blackmore Manor, Silent Spy, Shadow at Water's Edge. Okay.
Just a nice little recap.
Just a recap. I like recapping. So, Victoria, what is your category?
Okay, so I chose best music for my category. I wanted to pick something that, like, people could, because the music's so iconic in each game, but something that was a little more off the wall for a topic. So, my number 3 is going to be Secret of the Old Clock. So I like this game. I don't love this game, but I like this game. But I think the music is so incredibly perfect for that game. Since it is the only period game that we have in the series, I think the music could have like make or break kind of situation there. And I think that the music really did step up and kind of immerse you into the 30s at that point. So just the melodies, kind of the simplistic, you have a lot of like brass and things like that. And so all of that together just kind of capitalized on the fact that we were celebrating Nancy in the era that she was first created in. And because of that, when I play that game, I may not enjoy myself very much in mini golf or Richard Topham's puzzle, but I will be listening to some great jams in my ears, so it's like bearable.
I feel like that's why they made the soundtrack the way it is. It's like, you know what, they may have problems with this. Let's give them some happy music to go with. It's like
a little padding, like, So that's my number 3 pick for best music. Actually, before I move on, can I list my 2 runners-up?
Yes,
I
by
almost
all
put on
means.
here but weren't. Labyrinth of Lies, again, I think that really great music as far as like atmospheric. And then Trail of the Twister just has some really fun like little country bumpkin tunes, and those are just really iconic. But moving on to my number
really,
2
really
pick for best
cheery.
music. Wait, what?
They're really cheery in Trail of the
they
Twister.
are.
You got lots of cheery stuff, and you're like, huh, there's a storm coming our way.
I might die.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. So my number 2 pick for best music is actually Curse of Blackmore Manor, which I honestly didn't even look at your list, so I wasn't really trying to like double you here, but
It's okay. It's a
I
good
think that
game.
the thing about Curse of Blackmore Manor is that's another game that's very immersive in my opinion. Like, you get very wrapped up in the manor itself and the fact that, like, oh, it's 3 o'clock in the morning in the game, and everything's a little bit creepier because of that. And I think the music does a really good job of kind of the different tracks. And I've noticed that this is a weird thing to say, but I've noticed that I don't notice when the songs change. Like, the transition between songs is very, very smooth in that game. So you can be going from, like, one of the, like, more calming, kind of comforting songs while you're in, like, Nancy/Bridget's room or Jane's room, and then you go into a secret passageway, and all of a sudden the music has shifted, and you tense up a little bit without even thinking about it because of that. So, it's very, like, multifaceted, and a lot of the songs sound very similar to each other, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think it helps kind of turn your brain off. It's kind of how, like maybe I'm the only kind of the only person here who does this, but, like, especially in college, I couldn't study without some sort of soft background music, but it could never be distracting. And I think Curse of Blackmore Manor is one of those things where you remember the songs when you hear them later, but while you're playing, it's never distracting to the point of you're thinking about the music and not about the mystery or the puzzle or the character or whatever is currently in front of you. So because of that, I gave Curse of Blackmore Manor my number 2. And for number 1, my pick for number 1 might be kind of for a silly reason, but Secret of the Scarlet Hand has the number 1 best Nancy Drew track ever, and it's the one that's called Exotic, and it's the one that's like that super, like, fiesta almost, like, Mexican jam, and I will never not dance to it. And if it comes on, no matter what I'm doing, if I'm doing chores, if I've got it, like, playing in the background of a stream that I'm currently in, I will never not dance to that song. So, it's just so well put together. And then aside from that track specifically, the music is very good just in general. Especially in the temple, and going through those temple games, and you get kind of like this weird, I've gotten this vibe of, like, you feel like you're almost being watched in that temple, like you're gonna go around the corner and, like, somebody's gonna jump out at you, you know. There's, like, a little sense of urgency almost to that music, even though it's not fast paced. It gives you I just want to get these puzzles done and get the heck out of here because I'm terrified right now.
Sense of dread in your stomach.
Yeah, exactly. And it just kind of, like, weighs heavy on you in the middle of a game. So that's my number 1. It might be kind of a silly pick because of it, but because that song is just so much of a jam, I have to give that game my number 1 for best music. So just to recap, number 3 would be Secret of the Old Clock, 2 is Curse of Blackmore Manor, and 1 is Secret of the Scarlet Hand.
Nice.
Yeah.
Secret
I'm
of
glad that you chose music because honestly, that's something that Her does very well. They definitely do great soundtracks to go with the games, and it really sets up the whole soundscape. It's really wonderful.
Yeah.
Also, we have ruled the soundtrack to Secret of the Scarlet Hand as bangin' in its own right.
We did a whole list.
That's a perfect way to sum that up.
That one and Ransom of the Seven Ships is also bangin' in its own right.
Yeah,
I can't
like I
not
do
dance
not
to
like
the
that
songs.
game, but it has good music.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like I can be so angry at a puzzle or driving, and I'm just like, don't even
Exactly.
For those listening to the podcast and not watching the stream, she danced to it.
I did.
Well, I mean,
That doesn't
you
play
can't
well.
not dance to some of these
It's
jams. I
true.
mean,
Yeah. We're good.
Yeah. So, sister,
I suppose I should do mine.
what's yours?
Okay, so mine was best casts, because the stories have to have a good cast in order for me. Like, I find the casting, or the characters that they have, to be very important to me. Like, it can have great puzzles, but if it has a bad cast, then I'm like, I kind of feel for it. I'm not really. I thought this would be an easier category than it was. It was not. So these are more or less my top three. In no particular order, I have Shattered Medallion. It's just a great cast. It's very they're all very distinct characters. Even I don't like what's her name, antagonistic lady. Yes. But at the same time, she's a very strong character. She's everybody's well thought out. This isn't one where they just like slapped some characters in and went, okay, here, they have lines and, they exist to make the story go forward. They're actually very good characters. Obviously, I love Patrick. I don't know if I can ever say that enough.
yeah.
Patrick is just the greatest thing in the world. And it's a great cast, and they all have their unique flavor that they add to the gumbo, and it's just it's you can say what you want about that game. I know it's not a popular game. I know I'm like the only person in the world who likes it at all.
No, my best friend loves, like, she really does enjoy Shattered Medallion, so you're not alone.
Okay, good. Because I'm like, I know it makes no sense. It's a very dumb game, but I really, really love it. So, yeah, love that cast. Next up, I have Crystal Skull.
Yeah,
Legend of the Crystal Skull. God, I always do that.
That's not the Indiana Jones movie. It's okay.
I know.
You got it right this time.
I'm like, I want to say the right one because I don't like the other one. Anyway,
One is great. The other one never existed, obviously.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, what are we talking about?
There's only 3 Indiana Jones movies.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, Legend of the Crystal Skull is a really funny cast. Like, they're not necessarily as well thought out as some of the other casts, but they are all just great big caricatures of themselves, and it's phenomenal. I love... Apparently I'm going to draw a blank on all of the names today, but I love the curio shop guy. He's
Lamont?
just... Thank you.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Lamont.
Yes, Lamont. I love him. I feel so terrible every time we have to make him have a sneezing fit and have intestinal distress. Because I feel so bad because he is just a sweetheart. Yeah, it's a great cast, and Renee is so off balance, and Henry is just so sad, and it's all just great. And I love Dr. Buford. He's just he's that old man that kind of flirts, but it's like, you know that it's adorable and harmless, and you're like, okay, you're charming as heck. You can't even say charming as hell. You gotta just, oh, you're charming as heck.
Because he's like your grandpa.
Right? He's just this like, oh, sweet old man. I work with a lot of old people, so it's a very specific type of old man. But yeah, it's a great cast, in my opinion. They tell the story, and it actually has a really great script, I think, is part of it that really helps, because some of them, not great scripts, but Crystal Skull's good. And then that leads me into Ghost of Thornton Hall. Actually, I want to start with the fact that I originally had on there Warnings of Waverly Academy, because I do love that cast. But then when we were talking in the last podcast and you brought up Ghost of Thornton Hall, I went, oh my gosh, I love that cast. So they went on the list instead.
Y'all girls, you got bumped.
Sorry. You're just out of here. No, I love the cast of Ghost of Thornton Hall. Just top to bottom. Like, even there's not even one that I dislike, because, you know, they're always the one that you love to hate. I don't even have one that I love to hate. They're just all very sympathetic characters. Even Clara, you're like, you did not do good things, but at the same time, it's like you feel her as a human being. It's a very sympathetic cast, very well fleshed out. It's just that game. Just I'm gonna say head to toe. That's the bee's knees. I'm going with body parts a lot. No, but it's great, and obviously it has one of my favorite characters, Harper. So that's a major draw. But it's great. Again, great dialogue. It's and they're very prettily designed, honestly. What's his name? Colton, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Has just great facial expressions to go with absolutely everything.
Have you noticed that when Colton is standing on the porch, he always has that, like, sassy hip, like, out? It makes me laugh every time.
He does, like, a little hand flourish sometimes, too. I'm just like, you are sass personified. Like, yeah. He's adorable, and I love it all. Yeah. And I love the ghost of Charlotte, so, you know.
True. I love how she kills us. You know? It's a good thing to have in a ghost, I think.
You know, they can explain away the ghost thing as much as they want, but the fact is, Charlotte kills us a few times in this game.
Yeah.
She just straight out murders us if we choose the wrong thing in the tunnel. Which, that actually was not a spoiler, because I was so vague, you have no clue what I'm talking about.
If you do that thing in the tunnel, you know, the thing.
For those listening, I did a very bad wink. But yes. Now, okay, I'm going to spring this on you guys really quickly.
Uh-oh.
For the other people's, take a second, think about the other two categories and pick one game. So, first, I'm going to say, Ariana, for my category, hardest games, what do you think is the hardest game?
Do you want more time? Because I think I have an answer for mine.
Okay, yeah, you go first. You go first.
Okay, so, a game that frustrates me, which I don't love as much as other games, because it's, in my opinion, so difficult, is The Deadly Device. A lot of puzzles in that game are, very long, or very obscure, or involve a whole lot of moving parts. That game is also difficult because I feel like there's a lot of specific, like, you have to do this or have this specific conversation to trigger or open this. And so if I'm not, like, trying to, like, 100% complete the thing from the beginning, I can get lost very easily in that game. So because of that, I think I would pick The Deadly Device as the hardest game.
Yeah, that's pretty hard.
It is a hard one.
I think, because I was kind of going between a couple, and I'm trying to weigh if they're actually hard or not, but, I kind of came up with just two, because, so definitely I agree with Risa for, Shadow at the Water's Edge, because if anybody watched my stream, it took me forever to complete. And I think I ended up doing, the big Sudoku puzzle on my own, because I was like, I'm not making people sit through this. But, so
and we cheered you through
difficult.
the nonogram. We were
did.
super supportive.
They were very supportive of my 30 minutes of staring at a screen going,
oh, sister,
no,
it was 45.
You know what? Oh, it was, wasn't it? Anyway, point is, it was a long time staring at a screen going, I don't know, and then clearing it again. But then, I also have to say, I think a little bit Alibi and Ashes, because it is a lot of moving parts, and it's a lot of, because you have all the characters that you can be, it's a little confusing at times. Like, okay, who do I need to be in order to do this? Where do I need to drop this thing off? It gets a little confusing, so I feel like that, for me at least, it's a little too much to pay attention to. I like the game though, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, Alabine Ashes is kind of convoluted even in just the switching. So
yeah. And you have to be a specific person to talk to specific people. And I'm like,
and get
who likes
specific
me
answers.
again?
yeah.
I had a hard time remembering who Alexi liked. I was like, oh shoot.
Cool. So, Ariana, you think about your favorite soundtrack. Game.
Oh, no, I
best
got that
soundtrack.
one.
Oh,
I
you
got
got
that
that one? Okay.
I can do that one.
What is it?
My favorite soundtrack, I think, is Danger on Deception Island.
Yeah.
I love everything. It has more of the, like, shorter
they're
actual
very
tracks.
short, yeah.
They're very, very short. But at the same time, they're all very... there's jaunty ones, and there's just... It's a very... It's very location based, and I love it a lot. It's excellent. It really immerses you in the game.
Yeah. Mine is Secret of Shadow Ranch, because it makes me feel like I'm at Disneyland and Frontierland. or on Main Street sometimes. That's what it feels like to me. So that's my favorite soundtrack, honestly. And it's also Trail of the Twister makes me think of it a lot.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I love it.
I think a few of the soundtracks from that were borrowed, at least a little
or
bit.
influenced.
That's sort of what I meant.
Yeah. Okay. And so for best ensembles or casts, Victoria, do you have one?
Yeah, I do. I'm gonna throw it way back though. Stay Tuned for Danger, I think, has a really solid cast. Especially given the context of when the game came out and how new Her Interactive still was to Nancy Drew games. Every character in that game has very distinct personality, even the ones you don't see, like Bill Pappas. But you have Ralph Gardino, who is the MVP and needs to somehow make an appearance in another Nancy Drew game. I would love it.
Yes.
Love it. Plus, I think the villain is creepy and kind of makes you like shiver a little bit, and there's a lot of like questioning everybody and what they're saying to you, but you still really like everybody, even though you're not really taking anything that they say as like fact. You still like really want to like these people. So I think I'm going to have to give it to Stay Tuned for Danger as a game with a really, really solid cast.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm having trouble. I have two that I can't choose between. I'm going to say Labyrinth of Lies as one, because they're all very fleshed out characters. They're all very, like, I feel like all of the characters are very, they stand on their own, definitely. And the other one I'm going to say is Albine Ashes. Because I really like most of those characters, and the fact that we get Bess and George and Ned in it too means that it's a really great ensemble to me. But I really, Deirdre's my girl, and I like Tony. I don't like Tony, but I like Tony because I've known a lot of Tonys, and they generally like me because, I'm Bess. It's fine. A little bit. Just a little bit of Bess. So people like me like that. So I'm like, Tony, I'd be able to get some ice cream out of her. And I just really love Alexi. So that's what those are my two favorite ensembles. So those are all of ours. If you guys want to tell us yours in those three categories, you can find us.
But only those three categories.
Yeah,
do not venture anywhere else.
Yeah.
If you have favorite, like, scenery, don't tell us. We don't want to know. We don't care.
No. So you can contact us on our Tumblr, Twitter, SoundCloud, YouTube, or our Twitch channel. Victoria, where can they contact you or find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on my Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/vbudkey, or on my Twitter, which is just vbudkey as well. Or if you were feeling real fancy, you can also find me on Instagram under vbudkey as well. So,
see. So, also as a reminder, you guys can now subscribe to our Twitch channel so you can get access to that cute little wine glass emote. Or, if you would rather, you can buy us a digital coffee at ko-fi.com/Krolmeister Sisters. So, just as a reminder, I'm Risa.
I'm Ariana.
And I'm Victoria.
And we're the Krolmeister Sisters, and we're asking you guys to stay sleuthy.